At the invitation of President Ramaphosa, President Xi Jinping will attend the 15th BRICS Summit and pay a state visit to South Africa. Right before this historic moment, the Chinese Embassy hosts this event of great significance at proper time. There will be 2 sessions for today's event. For session 1, His Excellency Ambassador Chen Xiaodong will brief you on President Xi Jinping's attendance at the BRICS Summit and his state visit to South Africa. For session 2, it will be the book launch of Xi Jinping and Driving China-South Africa Relations in the New Era. Ambassador Chen and distinguished guests will deliver remarks. Now let's move on to the first session. Ambassador Chen, the floor is yours.
Thank you. 谢谢主持人，各位媒体朋友们、女士们、先生们，大家上午好！欢迎大家出席习近平主席出席金砖国家领导人第15次会晤，并对南非进行国事访问媒体吹风会。我仅代表中国驻南非大使馆，向长期以来关心中国发展、支持中南关系发展的各界朋友们表示诚挚的感谢。因拉马福萨总统邀请，习近平主席将于8月21日至24日出席在南非约翰内斯堡举行的金砖国家领导人第15次会晤，并对南非进行国事访问。期间，习近平主席还将同拉马福萨总统共同主持召开中非领导人对话会。这是中共20大后习近平主席第一次线下参加金砖国家领导人会晤和访问非洲，将有力推动金砖合作、中南关系、中非关系发展，也必将产生重要的全球影响。下面我将向各位媒体朋友介绍习近平主席出席金砖国家领导人会晤，对南非进行国事访问，主持中非领导人对话会的有关情况，并回答大家的提问。Friends from media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to today's media briefing on Chinese President Xi Jinping's attendance at the 15th BRICS Summit and state visit to South Africa. On behalf of the Chinese Embassy in South Africa, I express my sincere gratitude to friends from all communities who have long been following China's development and supporting China-South Africa relations. From August 21st to 24th, at the invitation of President Ramaphosa, President Xi Jinping will attend the 15th BRICS Summit held in Johannesburg and pay a state visit to South Africa. During the visit, President Xi Jinping and President Ramaphosa will co-host a China-Africa Leaders Dialogue. This is President Xi Jinping's first physical attendance at the BRICS Summit, as well as his first visit to Africa after the 20th CPC National Congress. The visit will go a long way to advance BRICS cooperation, China-South Africa and China-Africa relations, and will surely make important global impact. Now please allow me to share with our media friends some basic information about President Xi Jinping's participation in the summit and the state visit and his chairship of the China-Africa Leaders Dialogue, after which I will be happy to take questions. Regarding President Xi Jinping's attendance at the BRICS Summit, this will be the first physical BRICS Summit after 3 years, and also the third time that BRICS countries get together in Africa after 5 years. That carries special significance. China firmly supports South Africa in hosting the summit. President Xi Jinping will attend the summit, and a series of other activities such as the Leaders' Retreat and the BRICS Plus Dialogue. He will also have meetings with leaders of a number of BRICS and BRICS Plus or outreach countries so that to have in-depth discussion on strengthening BRICS solidarity and cooperation, advancing BRICS expansion, and other issues of common concern. The Chinese side is confident that President Xi's reunion with the BRICS leader in South Africa will produce important results and inject new energy into BRICS cooperation. First, strengthen BRICS solidarity. After 17 years of development, BRICS has become an important platform for global cooperation among emerging markets and developing countries. BRICS has increasingly become a staunch force in defending international justice. The world is now witnessing constantly changing dynamics in the international situation. The traditional global governance system has become dysfunctional, deficient, and missing in action. The international community is eagerly looking forward to stronger BRICS solidarity and cooperation so that BRICS can play a leading role to usher in new visions for world peace and development. China has always been a staunch supporter of and participated in BRICS solidarity and cooperation. In March 2013, when President Xi Jinping made his first trip abroad to attend an international multilateral conference as president, he was here in South Africa for the BRICS Durban Summit. Since then, President Xi Jinping has presided over or attended BRICS Summit for 10 years in a row. He put forward Chinese initiatives and contributed Chinese wisdom to deepening BRICS solidarity. As BRICS leaders get together again in South Africa to discuss BRICS cooperation, the summit will surely send more signals of BRICS solidarity and make new contributions to making the world a better place. Second, add momentum to BRICS cooperation. Over the past 17 years, BRICS countries have focused on shared development. BRICS countries to advance cooperation in areas such as trade and investment, energy and resources, as well as finance and monetary matters. We also expanded cooperation in emerging areas such as supply chain, logistics, agriculture, and food security, local currency settlement and cross-border payment, vaccines and public health, which gave a strong driving force to global growth. China has always been an active contributor to BRICS pragmatic cooperation. President Xi Jinping put forward 4 major goals of building an integrated big market, ensuring sound circulation and transport connectivities at all levels, and strengthening cultural exchanges for BRICS. President Xi Jinping put forward the idea of building an innovation center for the BRICS New Industrial Revolution Partnership. This initiative played a key role in spearheading BRICS pragmatic cooperation. During the summit next week, President Xi Jinping will work with other BRICS leaders to actively explore projects that meet the development needs of the 5 countries and the common interest of their people. BRICS leaders will exchange ideas on proposals regarding further cooperation in energy, economy and trade, investment, agriculture, and other fields. They will explore building BRICS cooperation mechanism for young people and persons with disabilities so as to take BRICS cooperation to a higher level. Third, further invigorate BRICS mechanism. Over the past 17 years, BRICS countries adhere to the principle of openness and inclusiveness. We put into practice a brand new concept of cooperation and held many dialogue meetings with leaders of relevant regional countries. BRICS has made possible a dynamic for the collective rise of new major countries, which has received high recognition and trust from among the developing countries. China has been actively promoting BRICS expansion and strengthening BRICS partnership with other countries. It was during China's chairship over the Xiamen Summit that we put forward the new concept of BRICS Plus cooperation that ushered BRICS cooperation onto a new stage. As the world faces rising exclusiveness and protectionism, President Xi Jinping pointed out that BRICS is not an exclusive club or small circle, but a big family of good partners that is based on mutual assistance for win-win cooperation. Last year, BRICS leaders reached a crucial consensus on BRICS expansion. The leaders supported discussions on the criteria and the procedures for expansion. So far, the international community voted in strong favor of BRICS cooperation. A total of 23 countries have formally applied to join the BRICS mechanism. BRICS expansion has become the top trending issue at the moment. Expansion is key to enhancing BRICS mechanism vitality. I believe that this year's summit will witness new and more solid steps on this front. Regarding President Xi Jinping's state visit to South Africa, this visit will be his fourth official visit to South Africa after 5 years. As China and South Africa celebrate the 25th anniversary of the establishment of our diplomatic relations, the visit is of great significance to the development of our ties. China and South Africa have built a comrade plus brother special bond. In the past 25 years of diplomatic relations, our relation made significant leaps from strategic partnership, to a comprehensive strategic partnership. China-South Africa ties have set a fine example for China-Africa relations and South-South cooperation. In recent years, under the guidance of President Xi Jinping and President Ramaphosa, our comprehensive strategic partnership has moved towards higher quality in wider scopes and at higher levels. On the political front, the two countries have strong mutual respect and trust. We firmly support each other on issues of our respective core interests and major concerns. We closely communicate and coordinate with each other in international affairs. On the economic and trade front, cooperation between our two countries benefits both sides. China has been South Africa's largest trading partner for 14 years in a row, and South Africa has been China's largest trading partner in Africa for 13 years straight. On the people-to-people front, The two countries enjoy sound mutual learning. In the beginning of this year, another meeting of the China-South Africa high-level people-to-people and cultural exchange mechanism was successfully concluded. That gave a strong boost to the two sides' cooperation in culture, education, tourism, science and technology, health and sports. During state visit, President Xi Jinping and President Ramaphosa will have wide-ranging and in-depth exchanges of view on China-South Africa relations, China-Africa relations, BRICS cooperation, and the international and regional issues of common concern. The two heads of state will review our two countries' traditional friendship and usher in a new chapter of cooperation that promises an even better future. The two presidents will also witness the signing of important bilateral cooperation documents and hold a press briefing. Those top-level exchanges will highlight the strength and the scope of China-South Africa relations and the win-win cooperation in various fields. The South Africa side attached great importance to the state visit and made high-profile and thoughtful arrangements. President Ramaphosa will hold a grand and warm welcoming ceremony and a state banquet for President Xi Jinping to honor the South Africa government and the people's friendship with the Chinese people and extend a warm welcome to President Xi Jinping on his state visit. We believe and we are confident that the state visit will provide strong guidance for the future direction of China-South Africa relations. It will surely inject new strong impetus for all exchanges and cooperation between two sides and usher in a new era of China-South Africa friendship and cooperation. First, the state visit will advance China-South Africa relations towards a new starting point. Head of state diplomacy plays an important leading role in growing China-South Africa relations. During the visit, the two heads of state will issue a joint statement to further elevate our comprehensive strategic partnership. The statement will focus on joining hands to build a high-level China-South Africa community with a shared future and lead the way towards building a human community with a shared future. Second, practical cooperation will achieve new results through this state visit. During the visit, the two sides will continue to further connect high-quality Belt and Road cooperation and South Africa's economic reconstruction and recovery plans. The focus will be on energy infrastructure, trade and investment, and the document will be signed in economy and trade, electricity, science, and technology. This will all be great cooperation results that will give a boost to China, to South Africa growth and employment and bring benefit to our two people. Third, the state visit set a new good example for international cooperation. China firmly supports South Africa's BRICS chairship, and we appreciate the important role that South Africa has played in the development of FOCAC and China-Africa relations. South Africa also highly appreciates China's important contribution to the cause of peaceful development in Africa, to BRICS mechanism, and to South-South cooperation. The two heads of states will have in-depth exchanges on current major international and regional issues and closely coordinate and cooperate in international affairs and multilateral institutions. The two presidents will strengthen their commitment to international fairness and justice, to the peace and development of all countries, and join hands to safeguard the common interest of developing countries. On the two heads of states co-chairing the China-Africa Leaders Dialogue, this year marks the 20th anniversary of President Xi Jinping's first visit to Africa. It's also the 10th anniversary of when President Xi Jinping put forward China's Africa policy, including sincerity, real results, amity, and good faith, and pursuing the greater good and shared interests, as well as the Belt and Road Initiative. During the past decade, President Xi Jinping made 4 visits to Africa, and 2 FOCAC summits have been held, which usher in a new era of building a high-level China-Africa community with shared future. In order to advance China-Africa cooperation in the new era to the benefit of all people of China and Africa, President Xi Jinping and President Ramaphosa jointly proposed to hold a China-Africa Leaders Dialogue on the sidelines of BRICS Summit. This is timely and a significant proposal. The dialogue will be held during the late afternoon of August 24 with the theme of promoting Africa integration and jointly build a high-level China-Africa community with a shared future. The two sides have agreed to invite the President of Senegal, which is the current FOCAC Africa co-chair, and the current AU rotating chair, President of the Comoros. We will also invite leaders of countries representing the 8 regional economic communities in Africa. The Chinese and African leaders will jointly draw a blueprint for the priority areas and key directions of China-Africa cooperation in the future, especially in areas related to people's livelihood and employment in Africa. The initiative will be in line with the lead of Africa's economic restructuring and upgrading. They will focus on connecting China's strengths and Africa's endowment and further elevating China-Africa cooperation to a higher level. After the dialogue, President Xi Jinping and President Ramaphosa will issue a joint statement with African leaders, which will focus on China-Africa solidarities and cooperation, upholding international justice, enhancing mutual support on issues of core interest, and achieving shared development and win-win cooperation. China will announce practical initiatives to support Africa's industrialization, agricultural modernization, and the training of Chinese and African talents so as to boost Africa's modernization and integration process. China looks forward to using the dialogue as an opportunity to have in-depth exchanges of views with the Africa side on promoting traditional friendship, consolidating mutual political trust, strengthening strategic communication, and deepening practical cooperation. We look forward to making comprehensive plans for growing China-Africa relations in the new era, and to opening a new chapter in building a high-level China-Africa community with a shared future. 女士们、先生们、朋友们，再过2天，全球的目光将再次聚焦南非。 推动金砖合作、中南和中非关系发展，有利于地区和全球和平与发展事业。让我们共同期待习近平主席的南非之行，为金砖合作注入新动力，为中南关系点亮新愿景，为中非合作增添新光彩，为世界稳定与繁荣，为多边主义健康发展，为推动构建人类命运共同体注入更多的中国力量。我们欢迎媒体朋友们对习近平主席此行进行深入积极的报道，向金砖各国、非洲人民和世界各国传递此行的热度和积极成果。Ladies and gentlemen, friends, in 2 days' time, South Africa will once again enjoy the whole world's attention. All eyes will be on how stronger BRICS cooperation, China-South Africa relation, and China-Africa relation will continue to contribute to regional and global peace and development. Let's all look forward to President Xi Jinping's trip to South Africa, which will inject fresh impetus into BRICS cooperation, break new virgins for China-South Africa relations, and add new shine to China-Africa cooperation. It will provide more Chinese energy to maintain world stability and prosperity, sound multilateralism, and efforts to foster a community with a shared future for mankind. All our friends from the media are more than welcome to deliver in-depth and positive coverage on President Xi Jinping's trip to South Africa, so as to convey to people of BRICS and Africa countries and the whole world the exciting and positive result of the visit. So now I'm ready to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, President, for a very informative briefing. Now the floor is open for Q&A. Any questions or comments?
Thank you. My name is Milan Mulike from the South Africa. Your Excellency has just spoken about the expansion of peace. My question is to you, what substantive decisions are going to be made about the expansion of peace at this summit? And secondly, why you are so many countries wanting to join the BRICS?
Okay. Thank you for your good question. I just briefed some information and position on BRICS expansion. As you know, China has always advocated that the BRICS country need to uphold openness and inclusiveness and strengthen dialogue and cooperation with a vast number of emerging markets and developing countries. We have always been a strong supporter and a promoter of BRICS expansion. Like-minded partners are welcome to join the BRICS family at an earlier time. Since earlier this year, the South Africa Church has worked to see BRICS countries make expansion one of their priorities for the year. There have been a number of thematic meetings on the issue, and the positive consensus have been achieved. This shows that the BRICS countries do mean business about the BRICS expansion. I am confident that during the summit, BRICS countries will move forward with new steps and achieve new results on this front. Let's all look forward to that within a few days. As I just mentioned, BRICS expansion has received very positive response by many countries. I just say that now maybe more than 23 countries express their willingness, their wishes to join BRICS. Many of them have done so by having top leaders send writing letters. This fully demonstrates the vitality, impact, and the attractiveness of the BRICS mechanism. So in my opinion, there are several main reasons why so many countries strongly wish to join BRICS. I believe there are several reasons. First, BRICS countries are increasingly influential in international arenas. The 5 BRICS countries account for 42% of world population, 26% of land areas, 31% of economic output, and 18% of trade volume. Also, BRICS countries have 14% of both IMF quotas and the World Bank voting power. Through the BRICS dialogue and the BRICS Plus models, BRICS countries have built close cooperation with a wide range of emerging market and developing countries. BRICS influence in the United Nations, the WTO, the G20, and many other major global multilateral cooperation mechanisms has been expanding. It rises about only 5 countries or our regions and is producing worldwide impact. Second, success of BRICS cooperation greatly boosted developing countries' confidence. After 17 years of development, the foundation of BRICS cooperation has been strengthened and its scope has been gradually expanded. There have been fruitful results achieved in areas including trade and investment, energy and resources, as well as finance and monetary matters. In recent years, BRICS countries have also strengthened cooperation in wide areas such as supply chain, logistics, agriculture, food security, and many other areas. BRICS countries have prioritized global development and joined hands to implement UN Agenda 2030 so as to enhance the well-being of all peoples of BRICS countries and beyond. Third, BRICS countries are committed to constructive changes in the international system. We have become an important force in upholding international justice and promoting greater democracy in international relations. At present, the world is witnessing unprecedented changes. As representatives of vast number of emerging market countries and developing countries, BRICS countries have forged ahead and adhere to the BRICS spirit of openness, inclusiveness, cooperation, and a win-win situation. BRICS countries pioneered and promoted fostering a new pattern of emerging countries rising up as a group. In the face of the mounting exclusiveness and protectionism, BRICS cooperation will not degenerate into an exclusive small circle. Instead, BRICS will persist on openness and cooperation. In the face of unilateral sanctions and non-armed jurisdiction wielded by some countries, BRICS countries stay committed to dialogue and consultation on an equal footing. More and more countries hope to safeguard their legitimate interest by joining BRICS that reflect the popular belief and the general momentum of the international community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? This gentleman on the right.
I'm also from the People's Daily. My question is, in recent years, there have been fruitful results in China-South Africa cooperation. Can you please share with us more highlights of the practical cooperation outcomes of the state visit? Thank you.
So thank you for your question. Just now I briefed our good cooperation with South Africa. Indeed, the practical cooperation is a highlight of China-South Africa cooperation and the foundation of our relations. When the global economy and trade lacks momentum, China-South Africa practical cooperation has shown strong resilience and vitality and brought huge benefit to our peoples. During the visit, our President will witness the signing of a series of key cooperation documents. It's likely that they will reach key consensus in various areas. The visit will have three highlights on the practical front. First is stronger connection in development strategy. During the past decades since the Belt and Road Initiative came into being, the BIA has become an international cooperation forum featuring openness, mutual benefit, and win-win cooperation. South Africa was among the first countries to sign Belt and Road MOUs with China. During the visit, our two sides will continue to explore how to deepen connection between the Africa economic focus will be on infrastructure, trade, investment, energy, and green development cooperation. New result of Belt and Road cooperation will inject fresh impetus into our cooperation. Second is the fast-growing trade. The Chinese and the South Africa economies are highly complementary with each other, and there is big potential in our cooperation. China has been South Africa's top trading partner for 14 years straight. China-South Africa trade reached over $28 billion for the first half of this year, up by near 12%. At the same time, our investment cooperation is also moving forward very well. During the visit, the two sides will reach key consensus on investment cooperation and promoting South Africa's export to China. That will further leverage China's superb strengths in having a huge market and unleash South Africa's advantages. It will surely boost South Africa's economic growth and improve people's life here. Third, stronger momentum in new energy cooperation. Both China and South Africa face historic tasks of advancing energy transition, new energy cooperation has increasingly become drivers and highlights of our cooperation. In recent years, many Chinese companies have taken part in many big new energy projects in South Africa through investment or contracting. Back in June, our two countries successfully held a new energy investment cooperation conference and reached many common understandings. During the visit, the two sides will actively explore ways to strengthen new energy cooperation that will be helpful for easing South Africa's electricity shortage and boost the green and sustainable development for our two economies. So, thank you.
Thank you, President. Any other questions? Question by the Air Commission.
Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Cyril from Phoenix. So, in China-Africa Leaders Dialogue will be a major highlight of the BRICS leaders. So, my question is, what are the reasons for China and South Africa to jointly initiate such an act?
So thank you for your question. First of all, to strengthen solidarity and cooperation with African countries has always been a priority of China's diplomacy. Whether from fighting for national liberation to exploring a path towards modernization, or from fighting Ebola to battling COVID-19, China has always stood by Africa, no matter what changes are taking place in the international landscape. Over the past decade, China-Africa relations have pressed the accelerator's button and entered the faster lane under the guidance of China-Africa's policy proposed by President Xi Jinping. The joint initiative of President Xi Jinping and President Ramaphosa to hold the China-Africa Leaders Dialogue will undoubtedly provide new impetus for deepening China-Africa cooperation. Secondly, BRICS mechanism need to be strengthened to better connect with Africa. BRICS is an important platform for cooperation between emerging market countries and developing countries. Africa happens to be the continent with the biggest number of developing countries, so it's natural for BRICS to strengthen cooperation with Africa. The South Africa Chairship has been holding a series of BRICS activities focusing on Africa this year. Africa Summit's theme is anchored on Africa, and the 5 key areas of focus are all closely related to Africa. This dialogue is highly in line with the theme of the BRICS leaders meeting and will be a powerful initiative to promote a better interface between BRICS and Africa. Third, the dialogue will promote international cooperation with Africa. China-Africa cooperation has set 5 examples for South-South cooperation and international cooperation with Africa. China has always been committed to promoting sound international cooperation with Africa. China calls on the international community to show more concerns and support for Africa. What Africa needs is a peaceful and friendly environment for cooperation, not a Cold War mentality or I win, you lose. What Africa welcomes is a win-win cooperation for the benefit of its people, not a major country's power game of geopolitical rivalries. This dialogue and its outcome will further release an important signal for China to accelerate cooperation with Africa, guide international community towards the right direction in cooperation with Africa, and see that all parties will make available more resources towards Africa for the well-being of all African peoples. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramaphosa, and thank you, colleagues. I know that many of you have other questions to ask, but this, the time is limited, so that's all for the Q&A session. But don't worry, we will have a closed-range Q&A session after the book launch. So now let's take a break and please come back in 10 minutes for session 2 of the book launch. Thank you.
那这个央媒的采访什么时候？一会儿就是在最后，就是这样子完了之后，那你这个背景太差了。